Okay, well, I'm going to talk about a little bit about some of the stuff I've been having a look around at, because I'm always keen to sort of benchmark us really as a nature partnership against other ones in the interests of staying awesome and being the best nature partnership. So it's what one tries to do. So I had a look around, and anyway, there's some really good stuff out there that people are actually on with already. So this is South Cambridgeshire district with their doubling nature strategy. There's a couple of ingredients in here that I thought were really useful. I think the first part that I'm going to talk about is the bit on the left on the screen that I'm sharing, which is thinking about the different layers to this stuff. If you're ever stuck for where we're going to put it locally, there are partners out there who could be useful to you, for example. So just one idea that was floating around for me was that the NHS, for example, has got a huge estate, and they're actually an anchor organisation, probably in your area. They may well have other bits of land that could be managed for the benefit of nature. You do identify, and people do identify different bits of their own land holding on their own estate. Well, actually, if you're a partnership, there may be other partners out there who are really keen to do that too. And I think that could even extend through our partnerships that we have at the Tees Valley Nature Partnership with Inca and organisations like that. So there's a bigger picture there. I think the second layer out here, which is the bit that we're perhaps talking about today, which is the sort of direct influence through policy. I mean, certainly they've got an ambition for 20%, which was flagged up to me because I'm working with another council down south who are literally going through examination at the moment, and they're wanting to stick 20% on it. And I go, all right, okay, it's 20%, that's what it is. So it's not totally outlandish, although we'd have to have a think about the Tees Valley and say, well, is that for us? Is that something that we want to do? And then really, so then you're going back to, as a council as well, what can you do on your own estate? And I certainly know there are, councils that would have an appetite in their own developments, or that, if they're doing direct house building, to be like leading the way, because actually there's a huge opportunity in this to actually, it's not just about the sort of where and how much. There's actually a lot of this is actually a little bit to do with the how as well. How do we do it efficiently? How do we deliver multiple stack benefits? How do we make sure that we're getting the most out of it? And you might recognise this sort of plan on the right here, which is how they've sort of gone round to, the broad opportunity zones. Now, I will touch on this later because we're doing this work in the Tees Valley. But what I would say is this is in the context of joint strategic planning. They have worked with both the area and also the city to work this out together, because as soon as you start doing stuff of any sort of scale, you're going to start bumping into somebody else's stuff too. So it isn't just the local authority border thing, because nature's not bothered about that. The bees don't stop flying out of Darlington and don't go to Stockton and stuff, etc. So there's, and this is a joke about seagulls, but I won't do that one about flying upside down. But there is an opportunity, I think, to work cross-border, and I think we should be, I would say this if you know me, but I do think there's a real need in many ways for cross-border working to identify that, which is kind of what we do as a partnership. Another front runner, as far as I can see, is Kent Nature Partnership Biodiversity Strategy, slightly different approach. I remember the good old days. I was looking back, actually, the Tees Valley Green Infrastructure Strategy which I seem to remember working on 2006. So perhaps a bit of an update of that, but through this lens might be quite a useful thing. But certainly, if you think about this, again, the big message in all this stuff is that here's another nature partnership that's working across the county geography, to be fair. But they are starting to say to all their local authorities, well, we should be heading for 20% here. We kind of need 20% to do what we say we're going to do. So, and I think there's something in that. Now, I accept that, different context and everything else, but still quite useful learning in that. Here's another one. This is Stafford Borough. So this is Borough Council sort of level. And again, similar sort of map that you recognise. These are your opportunity areas. We have this data across different themes within the Tees Valley. We could actually be developing a plan not dissimilar that actually gives you this big picture. But actually, I think it's about this partnership working to make sure that this is actually accessible to everybody who's a stakeholder, and it's really clearly understood in terms of what we actually want to see and where we want to see it and how it's going to be and everything else. And again, just as a reminder to say that we're not sat on our hands here. Here's one of our biodiversity opportunity areas. So there is work going on. That's the kind of things that the Tees Valley Nature Partnership's on with. I think, you know, closer partnership working, even above what we're doing now, which is a good thing, would be something that I think, from learning from just having a quick look around elsewhere, I think we've got much of the information that we need. Effectively, we've got the map and the compass. We've got some really strong partnerships. We're building some other strong partnerships. And I do think by doing that, we'll be in a better position to localize our delivery and make it less likely that you know, that whatever the net gain is actually, you know, delivered in the Tees Valley rather than elsewhere. So just a few bits of food for thought, really, as we kind of move into the next stages of the workshop this morning. But certainly, I think there's real opportunities to do what we're doing really well already as a partnership, to do that at a strategic level, and everybody kind of get around this thing, and let's make the splash we need, and keep Tees Valley in front, because it is. Well, I always say that anyway.